Hi, I'm Eugene Lee, and want to propose a new dining experience for SoCal to be able to brag about as one of the highlights of the area. For the time being, let's suppose this is called Mix It Up. In other words, just as there are titles such as fast food restaurants, these will simply be called Mix It Up restaurants, which I'll explain in a few seconds. First off, my main ideas for these Mix It Ups come from two big inspirations. The first one is about how Ichiran Ramen, a ramen restaurant, doesn't require any talking to sit down and eat. This is honestly great for anyone who doesn't know how to speak the language of the area they're in, and for those who simply don't want to deal with having to talk to a waiter for whatever reason they may have. The second idea is how a few barbecue restaurants in the US hybridize their cuisine with other cultures, such as in Texas or New York, where there's a couple locations that include things like Korean or South American influences in their barbecue and side dishes. And these restaurants end up doing quite well. And if you'd like, you can look at examples like Heirloom Market Barbecue and Coke to see how they're run, what they're about. So what would these mix-it-ups look like? Well, let's talk about the ordering process from the perspective of the customers. When they arrive at the venue, they'll see a sign showing the number of seats available and how many more seats will be open soon, which will be approximated by a notice on each table saying that if the current customers are getting ready to leave, they got to press a certain button on the side of the table to indicate it, and that goes straight to the sign in front. This way, if the seats are full, the customers outside will have an easier and quicker time judging if they want to wait or try a different restaurant. Now, once they get inside, the initial room will just be for ordering. This way, the customer doesn't have to wait for someone to take their order. And now, to actually order, there will be a vending machine or screen that has you fill out what you want to eat and drink, including how many people are in your party. Once you're done ordering, you pay in that same room, you're told where to sit down, and the kitchen is immediately notified of the orders. This is also inspired by many restaurants in Asia that have moved on to machines rather than waiters for lower labor costs and any potential human errors being avoided. Additionally, each menu item will tell you how long it normally takes to make that order, and will also tell you if the wait time will either be shorter or faster than usual, depending on how busy it is at that moment. This way, if anyone has a time schedule of any manner, such as wanting to make it for a movie later, or if they want something quick, they'll be taken care of too. Furthermore, since it's a machine taking care of your order, there's less of a chance of an order being forgotten or misunderstood. Now, in case the customer or group still wants to talk to a human being, there will be a bell for a manager. This way, if there's ever an issue that the machines can't solve, there will be a sentient mind to take care of it. Now, I want to talk about the cuisine itself. What I'm thinking of is that each restaurant will have a certain cultural cuisine as the main backbone of every dish. But the signature move with these restaurants will be that each menu item or side dish borrows influences from other cultures if there's a fair opportunity to do so. Additionally, each main culture will also change every year, and there will be a month or two where there aren't any other cultural influences, so there's just that one culture that can show off as many of its colors as it can for the month. If there happens to be a holiday from a corresponding culture you can celebrate during the month, the menu items will also reflect it if it has dishes for it. As an example, if it's the Lunar New Year and the month happens to have Korean influences or Korean cuisine is the main backbone for the year, there will be things like rice cake soups, glass noodles, and dumplings. So this type of cuisine can not only change up what people eat in terms of diet on like a monthly basis, but the natural curiosity people can have for other cultural foods can be satisfied at these restaurants, particularly if there isn't a nearby restaurant that serves the different cultural foods or ingredients they want to try. Yes, this can be a little bit more work for the staff, but at the same time, we're not running a fast food restaurant. Each month, we'll have meetings and pitches of what the different influences will be about, and if necessary, there will also be training for certain dishes. If it's a new year, there will be a meeting of what the main backbone will be, and again, any training necessary will start then. Now, I want to move on to what the restaurants themselves will look like. As you might have guessed, if you're baking off the idea of hybridizing cuisines, the base model of all the restaurants will be very minimalistic, so that there's a lot of room to decorate with some designs of the corresponding cultures of each month. Meaning, there will be one main theme for the exterior and interior decorations for the culture of the year, with a noticeable secondary theme poking through for the cultural influence of the month. These don't have to be too extravagant or expensive. And if anything, they probably won't be and shouldn't be because the decorations are one, going to change nonetheless, and two, we don't want to raise the menu item prices by unnecessary amounts if they're just for aesthetic costs. Essentially speaking, these are pretty much just holiday decorations, but they're to represent the cultures that's going on inside, and they're on a monthly basis. So the main idea here is that there's at least a more convenient template to work on before decorating. Also, speaking from a more macro sense, all these restaurants will have the same cycles of decorations and cuisines. This way, when people search up what we're offering for the month, or hear about it, or they see it themselves, they can simply go to the nearest one. They'll be able to share in the experience that everyone else is for that month, making it easier for something like a bandwagon hype to build up for these restaurants. This will also help with the distributions of the ingredients for each of these restaurants so that it's not so chaotic and individualized when all these restaurants are requesting for different orders of meats, vegetables, so on and so forth. Furthermore, last point, it would also be somewhat nice to have these restaurants near boba shops. Why? Because what do a lot of younger friend groups, particularly the Asian ones, as far as I'm aware, do after eating at a restaurant? They go boba. Because with those groups, if they do it, there is no such thing as being too full or broke to buy anything else. They will always have room for boba at the end, and will go to a store they like. If they don't know the area, they'll find the closest one, try it out. It's almost a running joke at this point with how much of a staple it is. So, why not make it easier on them by aiming to place our restaurants as close as we can to those boba venues? That's the last tidbit. Thank you for listening to my pitch. That is all.